Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Greg Lewis. I'm the marketing manager for MetaStock. And over this way is our very own Jeff Gibby. He's the sales director for MetaStock. And today we are extremely excited to introduce to you MetaStock 20. I've been with this company for 20 years, and this is
One sec,
by
Greg.
far the most exciting point. What?
Oh, did you start the YouTube? Because I don't see it starting.
Yeah, it started. Everything's rolling. You just
Oh, okay.
interrupted a great
Oh,
intro.
there it is. There it is. I just didn't want to have to do it twice. It just takes a little bit of a delay. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
So as I was saying, in the 20 some odd years I worked here at MetaStock, my very favorite thing about working here is launching a new version of MetaStock because we take everything you guys say you want in our already great product and make it a little bit better. And today we are launching, or 2 days ago we launched MetaStock 20, and like I said, Jeff Gibby is going to go ahead and introduce to you everything that MetaStock 20 has to offer above and beyond MetaStock 19. Jeff has been with the company for, I never remember, 27 years?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, 27 years. He has done countless presentations. And I mean countless. I couldn't begin to count them. By far, he's done more webinars for MetaStock than any other individual that has ever lived. He's very good with trading. He's very knowledgeable at MetaStock, and I know you're going to enjoy the presentation. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them. Either if you're in GoToWebinar, just ask them in the chat or the questions tab. And if you're in YouTube, just ask them in the normal chat. Jeff is very good at responding. I'll be monitoring chat in YouTube, and Jeff will be monitoring chat in GoToWebinar, but all the questions will make it to him. Jeff, have I missed anything important?
No.
Okay, well, go ahead and also like and subscribe. And with that, Mr. Gibby, I will get out of your way.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. If you have questions, make sure to ask them in GoToWebinar. You will see them in the questions box. In YouTube, just ask them in chat. Every time I look over here, I'm looking to see if you've said something to me. And when it's empty, I feel a little empty inside. So if you have questions, make sure to ask. If you just want to say hello, let us know. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming today. Again, as Greg said, my name is Jeff Gibby. And today we're going to do a very, very simple walkthrough of all of the new features of 20. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to have to do is get my mouse over here. The second thing I'm going to have to do is read this disclaimer out loud. So today's demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and the accompanying software plugins. It is not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors aware of the risk inherent in trading securities. MetaStock and its employees shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software, trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. MetaStock and its employees do not endorse the purchase of a security, nor are we paid for the promotion of a security. No information contained in the presentation today should be construed as investment advice or, alternatively, the solicitation to buy a security. So there you go. Thank you for being here. Just out of curiosity, those of you that are here, how many of you have MetaStock already? And instead of saying yes or no in the comments, just say what version. You're on the 12, 1, 19, 20. What version are you currently installed and running? So Greg says 20. All right, cool. Me too. That's what we're going to be showing today. 20 just launched the day before yesterday, on Monday. We got it out. A lot of new enhancements, some things that I think every once in a while we'll make changes that change the workflow I do in MetaStock. And I think this is a version that's going to actually kind of have an impact on what I do in terms of my actual trading, in terms of making my workflows easier to use and that kind of stuff. In fact, today I set up a complete layout just to kind of keep track of my portfolio that I love, that it's going to begin its own layout. It's going to have a quote screen attached, all that kind of stuff. Getting ahead of myself, though. Neil says he's using 19. Neil, thanks for using MetaStock. Also, good to see you. And MetaStock says he's using 20 right now too. So, in any case, I don't know how long this session is going to last. It might. I think my guess. We'll just put a guess out there. It's going to be about 45 minutes. Okay, might be a little bit longer. Might be a little bit shorter. I've gone through this one other time, and it was during the middle of the conference that we had last week. So, in any case, lots of changes. Again, they changed the Power Console quite significantly. I like the ideas and kind of the ideas that we had around kind of making it more useful in terms of getting to the tools that you want, making less button clicks, all that kind of stuff. They have chart functions that they've improved. They've made drastic changes to both OptionScope and QuoteCenter, and I'll show you those. There's a Zenith integration that you can use to take advantage of some of that news that you're getting with RT only. And then we're also going to demo the Greg Morris Japanese candle pattern recognition system. Let's get started. So in terms of the Power Console, if we want to talk a little bit about how the Power Console, I'm going to jump out of the PowerPoint right now. If I want to talk a little bit about how the Power Console has changed, obviously it's changed quite dramatically. You can kind of see, instead of having a Power Console button here, they've broken it all out into kind of different tools. So in other words, if I want to open up a chart, instead of go to Power Console and click on chart, I can just click on chart. It's going to open up a window that I can actually leave open if I want. I'll show you that in a second. But now I can, instead of doing multiple clicks, if I just want to run a scan, I can click on scanner. It's going to be right there. I can kind of open it up. I can kind of exactly do what I want with it. So kind of the idea here is to kind of keep things easier and make them easier to use, but also make them a lot more useful. Okay. The other thing that you're going to see is if you have layouts, all of these Power Consoles are going to be part of that layout. Okay, so these Power Console buttons are going to be completely part of the layout. Any screen that you've got, if you've got a new window open, it'll always have that Power Console, which makes it a lot easier because you had to go find which one is your main screen. And I think with some of the workflows that I'll be using nowadays, having a big layout for my portfolio and a layout for the things that I'm watching is going to be kind of heavy in terms of the workflows that I'm doing. And I think that'll make sense as we kind of drill into it. Okay. To talk about all of these buttons, so we've talked about the fact that they're kind of in their own unique areas here. We'll go ahead and just kind of talk about how they can kind of be manipulated. Okay. So right now you can kind of see that you've got your chart console here. If I wanted to open up a chart, it hasn't changed much in terms of the way you open up a chart. But this console I can kind of make bigger, I can make smaller, I can kind of make it exactly the kind of size that I want. And if I want it always open so I can kind of easily switch between charts, I can go ahead and click on this little tab menu. Okay. This is also movable. So now that I've got it kind of set out, if I want to move the Power Console over like onto the other side, for example, I can just stick it right here. It's going to be over there, and I can kind of have it where I want. Okay. You can also, if you leave it pinned, it's going to just kind of stay pinned over here in the corner. I'm going to kind of move it back over to this side because I kind of prefer having it over on this side. And we will leave it in the non-expanded view. Okay. Other thing that and that works with all of the tabs. You can kind of have them anywhere that you want on the screen. You also, if you kind of like the text chart, QuoteCenter Explorer, you can leave it like this. But one of the things that you can also do is turn off that text. To do that, I'll just go to Tools. I'll go to Options. And right here where it says Show Captions on the Power Console, I can go ahead and click on OK there. And if I prefer not to have those captions, we can just put it back to the icons. Okay. Let me go in here and I'll check to see if I have questions just yet. Nope, not any questions. Okay. So they've removed the old Power Console. They've added the enhanced Power Console. I've got some notes here. I just don't want to. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. The enhanced Power Console now exists in each container. So every time you've got a different window or a different layout, it'll be there. Oh, actually, I could just read this off of the PowerPoint too. We'll come in here. All right. The enhanced Power Console now exists in its own container window for easier access. The Power Console can be docked to any side of the container. Navigation's easier. You can go directly to the tool that you need. They can be pinned. They can be resized. That you can have them exactly where you want. And when they are open, you can make them bigger or smaller. So that's the Power Console. Actually, let's stay in the PowerPoint for a second. Let me go to the next one here. In terms of charting functionality, they did touch the charting engine just a little bit. For fractions, there was a lot of requests for futures traders to be able to do simplified fractions. And you can see that it now supports that. In addition to that, they've made it a little bit easier to identify. If you want expert advice or you have attached to a chart, it's just going to be kind of highlighted in bold. So those have been changed as well. Okay. Now I want to talk a little bit about, or quite a bit about, kind of the QuoteCenter changes that they've made, because this, I believe, makes the program really, really useful. And in fact, I think this is where a lot of the changes that I'm going to make to the way that I'm trading are going to kind of come into play. Okay, so with the QuoteCenter, let's kind of talk a little bit about what it was. It also acts like a dock chart. Let's go ahead and just open up a chart and we can kind of manipulate it and play with it. And then I'm going to come back to the PowerPoint just to make sure I didn't miss anything important. Okay. Going over. Oh, actually, I want to turn back on my my cheat sheet for the captions. Let me go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and click on QuoteCenter. Okay. And with QuoteCenter, this screen isn't dramatically different. It's very, very much the same. What I have done is, and I just created an existing list for the purposes of the demo yesterday. And to be frank, I just did it at my own desk so I could actually have a portfolio. But you'll see right here, I've got a sample portfolio that I've got right here. I'm going to go ahead and use that. So I'm going to just go ahead and open up the QuoteCenter. Okay. Now, QuoteCenter is a really cool tool. It's been available in MetaStock for a number of years. There's some things about the QuoteCenter that really kind of have been improved to kind of make it more something that you can work with. With QuoteCenter before, it would just kind of float in its own window. It wasn't dockable. You couldn't save it. You could kind of save it as part of a layout. It wasn't something that kind of had a lot of memory. It just had to kind of float it in its own window. And you can do that still. Like, I'm going to go ahead and kind of just move this out. If you preferred to have it floated, you can pull it out, put it anywhere that you want, and you can kind of even make it as big as you want. You can even assign it to like a different monitor if you want to. Okay, but what in the use case I'm going to kind of show right now, this is how I literally am going to use it. I'm going to keep a list of kind of like my entire portfolio in here and any of the stocks that I'm interested in, and that way I can kind of have it part of a layout. Okay, what I'm going to do here though is I'm going to go ahead and embed this as a link. And you notice here, when we kind of start to play with this, I can put it over here. I can put it up at the top. I can put it on any side that I want. I'm going to go ahead and put it over here on the right-hand side. Once I do that, I can kind of make it exactly the size that I want as well. So I'm going to kind of make this a little bit thinner. And there you go. All right. Just to kind of talk a little bit, there is a compact view. I actually kind of prefer the compact view. You've got your gainers and losers here. But if I just want to kind of make it small so I can kind of see just a snapshot of what's going on, I'm going to go down to the compact view. And then I'll be able to make it quite a bit smaller, where it's just giving us the symbol, the tick, and then the last price. Okay. What I'm going to do right now, let's see. So if I want this is in theory my portfolio. If I wanted to kind of take a look at it, get a glance, I can see how many are gained, how many are losers. But in addition to that, if I want to kind of open one up, I can kind of very quickly cycle through these just kind of by kind of looking at them, right? So I can kind of actually do that. If I had another watch list that I wanted to kind of put in here, like this is well, it's not my portfolio right now, but if I wanted to actually kind of also have a list of the stocks that I'm kind of interested in, I could come in here. I could go to that list. I'm going to go ahead and kind of do this, change it from sample portfolio. I don't have like a watch list in here. Let's just go to sector list. We'll go ahead and click back. And now I can kind of see what all the sectors are doing today. Oh, they've ticked down. Okay. In terms of the gainers and losers from a sector perspective today, we've had 3 that are up and 9 that are down. I'm going to go ahead and move this back in a little bit. And I can literally have as many lists as I want. So the idea here is to kind of have a watch list that you can go through, have a portfolio, have any types of lists that you want to be able to go through, but then quickly be able to go through those and see what they're doing. QuoteCenter is now part of can be saved as part of a layout. So for example, the work that I did this morning on my own MetaStock, I made a list of all the stocks in my portfolio. I saved that layout as my portfolio layout. And now I'll just open it. It'll open up with that list, and all of that stuff is going to be retained. Unlike before, where it kind of, with OptionScope, you had to open it up each time. Now you can just open it up as part of a layout. So I love the changes that they've made to the OptionScope. And I think I covered them all, but let's make sure. Oh, I did? Yeah, okay. So just to kind of reiterate with QuoteCenter, it now acts like a chart window, which means it can be docked in the container, which means it can also be floated. It can also be docked. It can be pinned. It can be embedded, as it can act as an embedded quote window, which is what I like that compact view for, you can save it as part of a layout. It contains a compact view mode, which will just show you the symbol, the tick, and the last price. And the compact view allows you to quickly move through your list of charts. So for me, it's going to be awesome on a daily basis. If I just want to see where my portfolio stands, just open up that. When we have changes to the list in QuoteCenter, add or delete anything that's no longer in my portfolio. Makes it just such a more useful tool. Don't see any questions yet. If you do have them, let me know. Let's talk about the other updates. They've made some updates and some enhancements to the OptionScope program. And so we'll play with those a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and kind of come in here. And with OptionScope, they kind of took the same idea. Again, if you're using OptionScope, it's a great little tool, but there isn't a lot of ways to kind of save it as part of it. There wasn't a lot of, again, it would just kind of open up in its own window. There wasn't a way to kind of embed it as part of a layout or as part of a chart or as part of a workflow. And that's all been changed as well. So let's just go ahead and open up a simple OptionScope here. I wonder if MD is even optional. Let's just go with something we know is optional. We'll throw in Apple for now, and we'll just leave the defaults on here. I'm going to go ahead and open up an Apple instrument. Oh, shoot, I hit the wrong button. Let me go back into OptionScope. We'll go ahead and click on Open OptionScope instead of search for an instrument. And now what we're going to see is you see this is a tab. This opens up in a tab. You can also do that with your watch list if in case you just want it as a part of an independent tab that you can work with. I'm just going to leave kind of the default OptionScope settings that we have right here. So whatever kind of the default moneyness and expiration dates and stuff like that, you can still change those and change them the way that they want. I am going to quickly just do a very quickly option strategy just so we have a chart down here. No big deal. We'll just do a very simple long call. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and we'll do this one. I didn't mean to do that. My mistake. There we go. That works. And we'll just go ahead and kind of click off of that. To put in a buy price. Okay. Okay. Oh, something's up with that one. Let's try a different one. Okay. Fair enough. We got it going. All right. And you can still open up the options. Here, OptionScope is very similar to what you're used to. You have your kind of put-call ratio, both in terms of volume right here and open interest for the current day. We did put in a long call strategy, so we have our time decay graph at the bottom. In addition to that, we have it opened up in its new tab. Again, with this one, it's very much like the OptionScope. You could leave it as a floating container, put it on a new screen if you want to, have it open. And also, of course, you can embed it. So if I want to come in here, I'll put it on this side. That's exactly what I meant to do, but that's the outcome that I was looking for. And so now you have your long call here. You've got your option pricing here. We can't really see the option pricing because OptionScope needs a little bit more room to show that off. So if I want to resize it, we can kind of move it around a little bit here until we can kind of see the values. Okay. We could also go in and kind of narrow down the fields that we're looking at so that we see the values a little bit better. But again, like with the OptionScope program, this is something that can be, it acts like a chart. So when you save it, you can save it as part of a layout. You can float it, you can dock it, you can pin it, all that kind of stuff, just like you could with OptionScope. Makes it a lot more valuable so that you can kind of set up MetaStock exactly the way that you want to. Okay. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, I just read these. All right. But this is actually a functionality that's available as part of real time. So this isn't something that you'll see in the DC version just because DC doesn't have the same level to all that great news that's available in the MetaStock Zenith. Okay. A lot of times when I see something like a big move on a chart, I want to figure out why it is. Why is that happening? What's happening with the chart, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so usually kind of my workflow has always been, okay, let's go look at a news monitor and see what we can see in terms of what's happening with this chart, right? What's happening? Why is this gapped up overnight? Why did it gap down overnight? What's happening? I want to know. And it usually doesn't affect the decision, but from a perspective of my analytical mind, I want to know. Okay, so let's kind of go into the chart. I'll go ahead and close this option scope for now, just to kind of give us a little bit more room to play with. I'll leave the QuoteCenter over here. If I right click on the chart, there is this Zenith option, okay? And you'll notice if I click on it, we can go to news, we can get to quotes, we can get to a quote history, we can see a monitor, company overview, economic monitor. All of these you can open from the Zenith menu, okay? Also, right here, there's a menu down here. So it depends on, there's the same menu, news, quote history, monitor, company overview, economic monitor. If I want to see the news, I'll go ahead and click on the news right now. And it's going to open up news for this particular stock. So we're looking at MD, okay? Here is any of the news. This is just like looking it up in monitor. It just kind of opened up this window for us. So if we want to see, we can see all the news and the headlines. We can scroll through them. If there's anything that we want to drill into, I'm just trying to find something that'll have a little bit of a news story. Let's go ahead and click on this one. It'll go to the full news story. And then when we're done, we can kind of just get rid of it or close it out. So this is a resizable window. So if we make it, we can make it bigger if we want to. And it's just like, it's basically Zenith. It's just opening up that window for us. And it just makes it really easy to get to, okay? If I wanted more, of course, there's other options in here as well. Like we can go to the quote history, the monitor, or the company overview, or an economic monitor that shows you all the important events that are coming up in the market right now. Let's just go to the company overview though. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on that. That'll open up a overview page of MD, which is the stock that we're looking at right now. I'm going to go ahead and make this full screen just so we can kind of see all of it, okay? But with any time you come to this overview page, there's just a wealth of information. You can find anything that you're interested in about that company here. So just from the overview page, you have the company history, you have news, you have recent developments, you have analyst recommendations, you've got the relative valuation. You've got your StarMine models over here, peers, your fiscal summaries, everything that's in that Zenith. It just kind of helps you get to it a little bit easier. And if you haven't played with this and you have the real-time program, and there's a surprising number of you that do, this is some really cool information. Here we can go to news. There's price and charts. We can go and look at their estimates for what's coming down. We can look at their statements. We can look at their financials, their ESG, which is, I can't remember what that acronym is. It's governance, sustainability, and ethics, I believe. Ethics, sustainability, governance. I had to go backwards. But you can kind of see that if it's important to you. You can see the offices. You can see events, things that are corporate events, maybe if there's a stock split coming or earnings or anything that'll be here. There's just, you can get to just about everything. There's an ownership. You can see what funds owner it. You can see the summaries, debt structures. Compare it with peers, anything you want to do administrative. Again, it's the Zenith page, the Zenith overview page. It just makes it a little bit more accessible in case like you're looking at a stock, maybe a MetaStock came up in an exploration. You want a little bit more knowledge about the company before you get into it. Well, you're not going to get a little bit of knowledge that way. You're going to get a ton of it, but there's a lot of stuff you can look at. So. Stephen said, Steve, I'm glad you made it in. MetaStock sure has changed since I started using it in version 1. That means you've been using MetaStock for longer than I've been an employee here. When MetaStock 1 came out, I think I was in high school. So, Steve, thanks for using MetaStock. All right. So that's the Zenith functionality. Let me just go ahead and kind of close out some of these pages. Keep things clean. Okay. All right, and then last but not least, this is actually an add-on that I worked with. Well, actually, to say that I did work with it on Greg Morris. I did work with Greg Morris on it, but it wasn't a project. It was a project that he really worked hand in hand with our programmers here. And so for me to say that I did it would be kind of overstating. I recorded a demo for this product when it came out. It was actually the first demo I ever created. It's almost a little bit embarrassing. It also took me a couple hundred takes to get it down because I would just keep starting over when I made a mistake. So I understand that's how Tolkien made Lord of the Rings. I want to talk to you a little bit about what this is and who it's written by. So Greg Morris is a big, he's retired now. Once in a while, he travels to Park City, Utah. Him and his wife, Laura, will come and we'll go to lunch, and that's about it. He's really just retired. He's enjoying his golden years, and we love to take him out to lunch when he comes here. He's also been working with MetaStock for longer than I've been here. just to put that out there. But to kind of give you some history about who Greg is, Greg Morris developed, I forgot to bring the book in here, he's a literal Top Gun in World War II. After he was done with the war, he spent a lot of time actually doing a lot of different work. He worked with John Murphy for a number of years, and he did a huge amount of actual research into different candle patterns. I have a list of the candle patterns here and a picture of the book. I forgot to bring it into the desk with me as I ran in here. But here's a list of some of the candle patterns that are included in the JCPR program. If you look at his book, what he did was he did advanced analytics on all of these patterns. And what he basically did was he looked at test pattern statistics, like this one would be the matching low level, okay? But he'd look at matching pattern statistics and he'd do analysis based on, okay, well, if the matching low happens, does it require a trend? And you see right here, it requires a trend. Does it require technical analysis confirmation? Yes or no? Okay. But out of those, what he did is every time he saw a matching low, he looked at 7,275 stocks. He looked at 14.6 million days of data. Every time that pattern happened, he'd say, okay, well, if we bought and we held for 1 day, how well did that work? If we bought and held for 2 days, how did that work? 3, 4, 5. And you can kind of see the table all the way through 7 days. Okay. Based on kind of the analytics that he did of that 14 million stocks, he came up with a ranking of this. So this one is a reversal plus type pattern. And that's something that's automatically scored into kind of what he's doing. So I kind of got a little bit ahead of myself, though, because I wanted to talk about the book. I'm still talking about what he did. So this is one of the books that he wrote. It's called Candlestick Charting Explained. In that, he did all that research on all of the data and kind of what happened with the market. At the end of his career, he started to work for a money management like hedge fund. Stadium Money Management is the name of the company. And at the end of his career, he had about $14 billion in assets. So very smart trader, been working for a number of years. Wrote a book that's actually really, really good, and I'll bring in a copy tomorrow. I just forgot to today. But in any case, that's kind of who Greg Morris is. And this is actually now included. The add-on is included as part of the add-on, or as part of MetaStock 20. Okay, so we talked about this. I'm going to kind of walk through exactly how this is used. We've got indicators. There's a candle trend indicator, support and resistance, and a filtering binary indicator. It's got explorations, it's got system tests, an expert advisor, and 2 templates. Okay. Here are the patterns. There's 36 that are included. Here's a listing of all the patterns that are included. And all of those patterns actually incorporated the work that the statistics that we kind of talked about earlier. How well does this pattern work in general? The other things, he developed and designed a scoring model that I'd say is really, really cool. Okay. So out of this, the scoring model incorporates a number of things. Okay. Support and resistance is the first of them. Support and resistance candle patterns that occur near support and resistance generally work better. Okay. If you're getting a reversal pattern and it's backed up by support, that makes sense. Or if it's right on support, that makes sense. Or right on resistance, if you've got a continuation pattern passing through resistance, that makes sense that it would help. Okay. You'll notice on here, and we'll play with this a little bit more, but when we're looking at a chart, it gives us levels of support and resistance. In this case, you get 1, 2, 3, 4 levels of support and 1, 2, 3, 4 levels of resistance. And those are automatically applied to the chart when you use a template, which we will do in a second. They also incorporate whether this pattern is happening around support and resistance into the scoring methodology, which we'll kind of break down in a good amount of detail. Okay. The other thing that he would use, or that he uses, is what he calls candle pattern filtering. Okay. Do we have a good candle pattern that's highly statistically ranked? Yes or no? Is it happening near support and resistance? Yes or no? Is it supported by the technical indicators and what he uses as stochastics %D? When he's looking at a bearish reversal pattern, he's looking for %D to be above 80 or below 20 if it's a bullish reversal pattern. Okay. This is automatically incorporated into the score that you get. Okay. In addition to that, we talked a little bit about the candle pattern recognition. It automatically incorporates that statistics that we talked about. It also incorporates multiple pattern analysis. He did this a thing where he calls a pattern breakdown. And with that, like if you have a Morningstar pattern, he'll combine all 3 of those bars in the Morningstar pattern into one day. And if it's a bullish pattern for that one day, he gives it some extra scoring. But that also automatically happens in there. Okay. He looks at the trend of the security to see if it is conducive to the trade. That goes into the score as well. And technical signals into a scoring methodology. And support and resistance. So all of those things go into a score-based system. And the best way to actually show you is to show you. Okay, so I kind of wanted to kind of lay a little bit of a groundwork for what's in here. This talks about the expert advisor, but I'm ready to show it to you. So let's kind of go in here a little bit. Before I started, I came in here, I ran a little bit of an exploration. I only wanted to be able to show you. So what I did was I ran an exploration of the NASDAQ 100, something that's real quick. Didn't take very long to get through. And let's just kind of go in here. I'll go into the exploration console. Again, what we're going to see here is kind of the new Power Console, the new workflows, that kind of stuff. And you'll see right here, there's 4 different explorations here. I kind of want to walk through what they are. So right here, you've got the JCPR reversal confirmed. And you've got the JCPR reversal confirmed filtered. Okay. Confirmed means the pattern happened yesterday. It is confirmed by a moving in the expected direction today. Okay, that's all it is. Okay, that means that the pattern is confirmed because we had an open in the direction that we expected it to happen. Okay, so when we run the confirmed, it's going to look for the pattern to happen yesterday. If it's a bullish reversal pattern or a bullish continuation, what it's going to be looking for on the current day, because it's looking at yesterday, is to have the open higher than the close yesterday. Okay, that's it. Okay, filtered means it also looks for stocks that have been filtered out by his technical indicators or the technical indicators that he uses. Okay, so you've got your confirmed. You're confirmed with the F, that means filtered. Okay, you've also got the reversal pattern that'll look for it to happen today. Like you could actually look for the confirmation tomorrow if you wanted to, and then the filtered. For the purpose of just showing you kind of how the scoring works and why it's so cool, the one that I ran against the NASDAQ 100 was just the reversal pattern. I'm going to go ahead and open it up. We'll go ahead and look at the report. We had 4. Now, this was about an hour ago. This might have changed. The market's been, well, up and then down and then just it's trying to decide. I think we have a bit of a doji bar last time I looked, and that means indecisiveness. So from a perspective of this, though, out of the NASDAQ 100, the ones that actually have a pattern and a score that we can kind of look at is 4. Again, it's just going to filter out the ones that stocks that don't have an opportunity and allow us to focus on the ones that do. Okay. Right here, we have buy, and if it has a 1 in this column, the trade desk, zero scalar, and take 2, all of those are buys, with O'Reilly Auto being a sell signal or a short signal. Okay. Here it's got that score. Okay. The score doesn't go to 100. Greg Morris wanted to make sure that it never went to 100 because no trade is guaranteed, but it goes from 0 to 99. Okay. And when we open one up, we'll be able to kind of break down that entire score for you and how it's calculated, because I'll be able to show you. Out of the long ones, our best scoring one was TRD, it had an 80 out of a possible 99. Okay, zero scalar had 63, take two has a 33. So before we even look at the charts, we can kind of look at the combination of the technical indicators, the support and resistance, the volume, all the things that go into the score, and get a confidence rating for the trades, which I love because I want to be able to look at the best ones first and the least best ones, I guess, last. Okay. In terms of filtered, there's technical indicators that he uses. This is the filtering based on the technical indicators. It goes from a total score of 0 to a total score of 40, okay, based on kind of the technical indicators he's using. So this has a score of 80 and an indicator score of 40. The closing price is also 40. So we're getting a lot of 40s right here. That's just kind of random. Let's go ahead and look at the stock. And I want to show you the expert advisor and kind of how that works. And as long as the pattern still exists on the chart, I'll be able to show you a breakdown of the scoring. But let's look at TDD. I'm just going to go ahead and open up the chart here. We'll go ahead and apply the JCPR template to this. So I'm going to right click on the chart. I'm going to go to apply template. I'm going to go to JCPR. Oh, I'm sorry. It's actually, I think they renamed it a little bit to this candlestick JCPR, so I had to get a little bit used to that. But there's two templates that are here, the candlestick JCPR, and there's one with, it's just a clean chart, and there's one that shows all the indicators, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and apply the one with all the indicators. Remember, this one had a confidence score of about 80. So let's go ahead and apply it to this chart. Hopefully it's still showing the pattern. It didn't, because that pattern's gone away. I think maybe it might have been a morning star or something. It's not showing the pattern because it didn't happen, or it's no longer meeting the criteria, which happens if you run a scan during the day, right? So you're looking at open, high, low, close relationships, but that's okay. We did have a 3-0D pattern that happened back here. We also had a, what is this? A bearish engulfing pattern that happened right here. Both of those would have signaled a thing. Now, what I want to do, some of the score is based on where support and resistance sits right now, okay? So I can look at the expert advisor. In fact, I'll show you. But in order to get a score breakdown, I had to just kind of, it has to happen on the current day because the support and resistance levels are calculated based on the last day. So if I look at this, I'm going to go ahead and just view the expert commentary. What we're seeing now is no pattern, so nothing's actually identified here. We're just seeing where the current trend is bearish. You can see that on the chart here. And you're just seeing the support and resistance advice, or the support and resistance information, because no pattern actually happened that day. I'm going to come back to this bearish engulfing. This bearish engulfing actually happened at a pretty good level. You can see right here that it was during a bullish trend. You can see the support and resistance, and you can see the engulfing pattern. Now the thing is because support and resistance is calculated on the very last day, I won't see a pattern score breakdown, but I want to show you because it's actually really cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually load into 1024.25 on this chart, just so that it'll figure out the support and resistance would have been on that day, so I can show it to you exactly how the scoring works. So what I'm going to do here is just do a little bit of magic. I'm going to come over to my loaded range here. And I don't care how much it loads, but I just want it to load to 1024.25. Okay. That bearish engulfing is still going to be there, so I can show you exactly what the score would have looked like and go through the components that go into that score. So let me go ahead and apply this to a chart. We'll click on OK. And now we have, you can see the difference here. Okay. I'm going to kind of make this a little bit bigger so you can kind of read it too. So make the chart a lot smaller, but the text a lot bigger. Okay. So again, we're pretending that it's the 24th. That's the last day MetaStock has loaded. Because that is the last day and it has a scoreable pattern on it, it's going to give us a score. Okay. Here's where our support and resistance are. Okay. Their distance or their proximity to the close. And then we have our engulfing pattern, which was completed today, or well, on 1024.25. Okay. Here's where you kind of get an idea of exactly how that score comes together. So from support and resistance, you have 25 out of a maximum possible of 25. Okay, if we go back and look at this chart, it's identifying, yeah, okay, that's good. It's identifying our resistance right there. Okay, so if we're looking at something to reverse right on a resistance level, that would be a textbook definition of it, which is why we get a 25 score out of a maximum why can't I say maximum today? Out of a maximum possible of 25. Okay. Any notes that it has, like this one right set here, it says resistance through the pattern body. Any kind of notes in terms of why it's getting that score, put in this qualifier. Okay. In terms of the indicators that it uses to filter, you're getting a 10 out of a maximum support of 40, a maximum possible of 40. And that's because you're getting a positive reading on directional index. Okay. In terms of volume, you're getting a 15 out of 15. I'm trying to remember. Okay, so this, what you're looking for is the volume level to be above the average volume. That gives us 5 points. You're looking for the volume to increase every day of that pattern. Okay, whereas it's an engulfing pattern, it's a one-day pattern, so we look at it for the previous day. And then you also want the volume to be above average. And so out of those three criteria that's looking at, you get a score of 15 out of a total maximum of 15. Okay. Stochastics in terms of, statistics, actually this was a G-ranked pattern. So it wasn't very indicative, so it only gave us a 0 score out of 15. Okay. The pattern breakdown where it combines those patterns into one pattern, which is just a 1 bar, gave us 5 out of 5. Which means this engulfing pattern worked out really well. But if we were looking at it on our scan day, when it actually came back, the chance of success that he had given it is a 55% chance of a thing. Okay, there's a couple comments. I kind of read them out. That's sort of kind of in my eye. Just in case you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm going to read them out loud in a second. So that's how that pattern works. I love kind of with him. Greg is such a good analytical mind, and I love how well he's kind of been able to kind of put together and make this as part of it. So, all right, let's read some comments. All right, and he says, I think Amit says, I think MetaStock should give us the option to choose Zenith data or real-time data. For some traders, this adds a good amount of additional cost. That's not a bad point. They did add with this version the ability to kind of look at local data offline with the news package and stuff like that. The news is great. The news that's available in MetaStock Zenith, they literally put together to be a competitor to Bloomberg. If you're not familiar with Bloomberg prices, it's $2,200. Amit, I appreciate the suggestion, though, of just like, well, what if I don't want the news at all? Which is, I think, what you're saying. I actually think that's a decent, a good suggestion, and I'll pass it along. Amit says, I still feel like this program is a little bit slow compared to earlier versions of the program. And what I would have you do, Amit, is check your RAM levels. From a perspective of that, with the new container that's been developed and all the stuff that's doing, RAM is really, really important. If you want to know how to check your RAM, and it's easy to actually add upgraded RAM. If you want to check how much RAM you're using, I'm going to show you a trick. Hit Control-Shift-Escape. Come over here to the thing. You can see exactly how much CPU is being used, how much your memory is being used. I'm only using about 39%. If you're noticing sluggishness in MetaStock when you're running it, I would recommend you check these levels. Also, make sure you have the latest version of MetaStock. I wouldn't say that what we're doing here, none of the stuff that I've been doing has actually been sluggish, or it's actually been moving really, really quickly for me. So if you're experiencing issues where it's sluggish for you, let's figure out why that is. And you might want to call our support and just talk to them about it. They can do a really good job of helping you understand, am I on the latest version that's available for me? And because you shouldn't be having too much sluggishness unless you're running it on an underpowered machine. So thank you for that. Jay says we should look to making a web-based version of MetaStock. We are looking at that actually. And the thing is with the web-based versions, I mean, you see this with like one of the biggest web-based version out of there. They just couldn't accomplish what they wanted to, and so they ended up also making a install version of their web-based platform. That's the most popular one. Not going to name them by name, but the reason that they put together a web-based version, well, they got very popular with their web-based version, but they also decided they want to do more and made it into a desktop install as well. So, but that being said, we are looking at stuff, but that's not what we're talking about today. But I appreciate the feedback. All right, let's go back in here. That is all the questions. I don't think I missed any. We talked about the expert advisor. We talked about the scans that are included. All in all, this is a very solid upgrade. Not only do you get the Power Console, the chart functions. I love the new QuoteCenter and the way it works. I'm going to be playing with that. Like that's changed. Over the last several years, there's been some things that have just changed MetaStock that have improved things so much that they have changed the way I use the software. OptionScope, the QuoteCenter, and that'll be one of those changes for me. OptionScope, you've got the news integration that's available as part of it. You've got JCPR in terms of your the add-on, great add-on that's included. That's a $300 value right there. With MetaStock RT, if you do have data that you want to use and you want to be able to use it with just offline data, it does have an offline mode. That's a niche case, though. If that's something that's interested in, let us know. In terms of the upgrade pricing, upgrades are generally very affordable. It depends on the version that you have. The pricing for the end of day or the DC version, I believe, starts at about $150, and for real time, it starts at about $250. If you're on a subscription version of MetaStock, the upgrade is free. Just go download it. Go to metastock.com/mydownloads. But if you have any questions about the products and the upgrades and that kind of stuff, give us a call. I would be happy to kind of help you get set up with it. You can call us at 800-882-3040. If you're not in the US or Canada, you can call us internationally at 801-506-0900. We'd be happy to answer any questions that I might have missed. I didn't miss any. I don't think so. But if you have questions and you want to talk one-on-one to somebody, go to metastock.com/saleschat. Thanks for watching the video today. I appreciate it. Thanks for using MetaStock, because I know a lot of you are, and I really appreciate that as well. I hope you get as much use and enjoyment out of it as I do. I literally use it every day to do my scans, to look at my charts all day, every day. So give us a call, get the new version. Thanks again for everything, and I'll see you at the next one. Thanks for coming. Like and subscribe. It helps a great deal.